What really happened the night Grace Millane died? The Crown alleges she was strangled and put in a suitcase before her accused murderer went out on a Tinder date. The defence says her death was an accident after an ordinary sexual encounter. Today at the High Court in Auckland, Grace Millane's family came face to face for the first time with the 27-year-old man on trial for her murder in December last year. Our reporter Sarah Robson is covering the case and she's in the studio with me now. Kia ora, Sarah. So, a big first day of the trial today. What happened?
So for the first time in court today, we've actually heard the Crown's case against the 27-year-old man who is accused of murdering Ms Millane. Now that includes details about what happened immediately after her death. Crown lawyer Robin McCoubrey spent about an hour laying this all out to the jury of 7 women and 5 men this morning. He explained to the court that Ms Millane and the man had met on Tinder, and there's lots of CCTV footage from around the central city of them bar hopping from bar to bar on a Saturday night Tinder date. Now this is on the 1st of December, the eve of Ms Millane's 22nd birthday. Robin McCoubrey explained that the pair went back to the accused man's apartment at the City Life Hotel at about 9:30 that night, and there is CCTV footage of her entering the building. Now here's where we get to where the accounts start differing. The court heard that the accused man had initially told the police that he had met up with Ms Millane for a drink and they had parted company. He then changed his story to the police and said that they did go back to his apartment. The Crown said that he had told police they'd had rough sex and he went to have a shower and he fell asleep. He had told the police that when he woke up, he found Ms Millane dead on the floor. But the Crown argues otherwise. Robin McCoubrey said that if it might be expected that the accused man would call for help or seek help from the emergency services if he had found Ms Millane's body. But instead, the Crown says that in the early hours of the morning, the man did a couple of Google searches. They were the terms Waitakere Ranges and hottest fire. The implication being that the Crown argues that Ms Millane was already dead and the accused man was working out how to hide and dispose of her body. The Crown also argues that he had watched pornography and that he had taken explicit photos of her body. Now, Robin McCoubrey said that a pathologist will give evidence for the Crown that the cause of Ms Millane's death was pressure applied to her neck. The court jury also heard details about the accused man going off to buy a large suitcase, cleaning products and organising the hire of a rental car. The Crown said that the man contorted Ms Millane's body into that suitcase, left it in his apartment while he went off on another Tinder date. Now, the Crown said that this behaviour doesn't seem to be the man was concerned about there being a dead body in his apartment, and there will be CCTV footage shown to the jury at some point of the man wheeling that suitcase with Ms Millane's body inside it to the hire car, and it was then taken to the Waitakere Ranges where he buried it.
So the Crown gets to outline what is its opening address, the outline of its case. The defence, did they take the opportunity to say something? Yes,
the accused man's lawyer, Ian Brookie, did make an opening statement to the jury, and his case is that Ms Millane's death was an accident. He said it was the unforeseen and unintended consequence of a perfectly ordinary casual sexual encounter between 2 young people. Now, Mr Brookie said that his client had restricted Ms Millane's breathing by applying pressure to her neck, but Mr Brookie said that the accused man did this with her consent. He did emphasise that Ms Millane was not to blame here, but her death was an accident, and he insists that his client did not murder her.
So, what evidence have they managed to get through so far, and what are we expecting?
Yeah, the Crown is expecting to call 40 witnesses in its case, and the first evidence we heard today was actually from Grace Millane's father, David. Now, David and his wife, Gillian Millane, have come over from the UK for the court trial. Today was the first day that they had actually been in court, and they were sitting front and centre of a very packed public gallery in court today. Now, Mr Millane didn't actually appear in the dock to give his evidence. It was actually read out by the Crown prosecutor, Robin McCoubry, which is a fairly standard practice in a court case like this if there's no dispute around the evidence. In his evidence, Mr Millane talked about his daughter, or Gracie, as his family referred to her as. He said that she was a gregarious and outgoing young woman, well-liked. She had been keeping them up to date with her travels, and she seemed to be having a great time. And obviously, alarm bells rang when they hadn't heard from her for her birthday on the 2nd of December. As Mr Millane was talking about the close relationship that his daughter had with his wife, Gillian Millane began crying in the public gallery and was wiping away tears. So it was a very highly charged and emotional giving of evidence today. We've also heard from 2 police officers so far. Now, one of those police officers is the one who actually found the suitcase in the Waitakere Ranges in a shallow grave that contained Ms Millane's body. Tomorrow, the jury is expecting to begin watching some of that CCTV footage that the Crown has already alluded to in its opening statement.
Thank you, Sarah. Sarah Robson there, who is covering the murder trial into the death of Grace Millane, and we will be keeping across that case, which is expected to run for some weeks.